marrying a younger alpha. On the very first day of our union, he cautioned me against harboring thoughts of an older cow indulging in tender grass. Choosing not to take offense from the impudent youth, I naturally acquiesced to his aloofness. However, as time unfolded, the dynamics of consumption shifted. Pei-che, do not forget what you initially proclaimed. What did I proclaim? He retorted, abruptly lifting me into his arms and gazing at me from below. You claimed that I most delight in defying authority. 1. Suddenly being swept off my feet, I was momentarily taken aback, and then cast a discontented glance at Pei-che. Put me down. I won't. Why should I? Is it wrong for me to embrace someone I cherish? It certainly sounded reasonable, yet I still felt it was inappropriate. Your behavior is rather undignified. Pei-che's gaze drifted down to my lips, swallowing hard, his voice slightly husky. What need is there for dignity? What I desire is you, Teacher Lu. Swiftly, I raised my hand to obstruct his advancing lips, unable to suppress a laugh. Your words are quite flattering now. No longer calling me an old hag? Pei-che's face flushed a deep crimson, then paled, a vivid display of emotions. He lowered his head, burying it against my waist, his voice muffled. Let us not discuss that. Just as we were exchanging light banter, his phone rang. Pei-che frowned but did not release me. I patted his shoulder as a signal. Stop playing around. Answer the phone. Reluctantly, he set me down and answered the call. Moments later, he approached to inform me that a friend had summoned him out. I waved him off, and he hurriedly departed. Approximately 2 hours later, a message from an unknown number appeared on my phone. Contained an image and a short message. Mr. Lu, Pei-che's white moonlight has returned. Do you still intend to encroach upon his territory? 2. A rather juvenile and childish provocation. I felt no offense whatsoever. Instead, I clicked on the picture to examine it closely. In the image, Pei-che was smiling wholeheartedly at a seemingly beautiful young girl. The number sent another message. Pei-che favors young and attractive omegas. You are older and a beta, so why waste his splendid resources? It was immature to the point of being somewhat endearing. Without a care, I set my phone down and returned to my work. The sender, perhaps realizing my indifference, began bombarding me with messages. I say, Mr. Lu, read but not reply? Has your self-esteem been bruised? At your age, perhaps you should refrain from causing trouble. Pei-che is still so young. He can't be wasting his youth on you. This is just advice. Surely you aren't so blind as to not understand. The youth are always so obsessively fixated on such matters. Aware that my silence would only provoke further messages, I finally opened the text box. Thank you for informing me. Habitually, I added a smiley face in my reply. As expected, the sender fell silent. However, little did I know, my seemingly reasonable response ignited a fervor in the young man. Upon receiving my reply, Qi Beiyuan nearly leapt up. Wait, what does Lu Shang mean by that? Is he mocking me? A conspiratorial friend leaned in. Keep your voice down. Don't let Che Gu hear you. Qi Beiyuan spread his phone, the smiley face appearing rather silly. Look, what does he mean by that? His tone is so polite, and the smiley face even has a blush. If he isn't being sarcastic, then he wouldn't be trying to flirt with me. Would he? The friend rolled his eyes, somewhat speechless. Qi Beiyuan, has your brain malfunctioned? No, but isn't Lu Shang the type who prefers younger men? He wouldn't have taken a liking to me again, would he? You're insane. 3. After replying to the messages, I found myself unusually disinclined to continue working. Instead, I pondered my relationship with Pei-che. The arrangement for us to live together stemmed from our parents' mutual intentions. They were eager to see us united. Our families reached a consensus, bypassing us, the two directly involved. Pei-che's parents were delighted to finally have a good teacher to guide and support their son, while my parents were pleased that I had found companionship, alleviating their worries about me languishing alone at home, unnoticed. In truth, I was also pleased. The advantages of our family's friendship were substantial, aiding our company's ascent. Alas, perfection is a rare occurrence in this world. While we were content, Pei-che was not. During my first visit with my parents, we happened upon Pei-che throwing a tantrum at home. Why should I have to live with Lu Shang, that old hag? Am I looking for a teacher or an ancestor? I don't care. Whoever wants to go can go, but not me. This child had a way with words that could be quite hurtful. I calmed my visibly upset parents and politely knocked on the door. When it opened, Pei-che stood there still fuming. Maintaining my composure, I inquired politely, "Hello, may I ask if Mr. Pei is home? Who are you?" I am Lu Shang. For the young alpha paused momentarily, instinctively uttering a curse. Then, somewhat awkwardly, he stepped aside. Please come in. Thank you. Perhaps embarrassed from being overheard speaking ill, Pei Che remained silent throughout the subsequent conversation between our families. After that day, I did not immediately finalize the arrangement but instead sought a meeting with Pei Che. With coffee and fruit tea served, Pei Che appeared somewhat impatient. What do you want? If you have something to say, just say it. Do you wish to live with me? The advantage of conversing with a young person is the absence of need for circumlocution, as they may not grasp nuanced expressions. Pei Che scoffed. Does it even matter whether I want to or not? Who cares about my thoughts? I do. I looked at him earnestly. That is why I am asking you. If you truly dislike the idea, I will explain it to our parents. Pei Che finally dropped his defiant demeanor, sitting up straight. Oh really? You won't be affected by it, will you? He truly was a kind-hearted child. I smiled and stood up, patting his head. It's all right. I'm older than you. It's only right that I shoulder a bit more responsibility. 5. Yet in the end, we still ended up living together. Pei Che's parents somehow learned that he was infatuated with a girl of humble background, and they were adamant that he could not continue to be indulged in his whims. This indirectly led to the friction between Pei Che and myself. On our first night of cohabitation, Pei Che stood at the bedroom door, clutching a blanket, glaring at me furiously. You liar. I should never have trusted you. Let me tell you, you'll never get to enjoy the fruits of youth. Knowing that no explanation would suffice at that moment, I wearily walked into the bedroom and closed the door behind me. Oh fine. Yet feeling a twinge of guilt, I reopened the door to kindly ask, do you need a pillow? It seems there isn't one in the guest room. No. All right then. Just be careful not to wake up with a stiff neck. Good night. After that day, Pei Che constantly eyed me with suspicion, as if bracing himself for an imminent attack from me. I found it amusing and occasionally couldn't resist teasing him. 6. To be honest, I have never been a proponent of strict disciplinary measures. Thus, in my interactions with Pei Che, I have consistently adhered to a gentle, tolerant, and respectful approach. However, just when I had finally managed to wait for Pei Che to engage in a proper conversation with me, and to grace me with a smile, he returned with a visage marred by the unmistakable marks of a slap. My heart twisted painfully at the sight. What happened? Who has wronged you? I inquired, reaching out to caress his face, only for him to instinctively flinch away. Don't touch me, he retorted, retreating into the house and locking the door behind him. Before long, the room was filled with the harsh sound of ringing, followed by the unmistakable crash of objects hitting the floor. Realizing that allowing him to wallow in anger was unwise, I gently rapped on his door. Pei Che, might you grant me the opportunity to speak with you? Pleaded. I understand that you may not wish to talk right now. If it were permissible, I would simply let myself in with the key. If that is not the case, could you toss something at the door? After waiting in silence for a moment, and receiving no response, I swiftly unlocked the door and entered. Pei Che lay on the bed, still turned away from me, motionless. As I took a few steps toward the bed, his phone, which had been thrown into the corner, began to ring again. The caller ID read, Old Man. I answered the call, glanced at Pei Che, and then stepped out onto the balcony. Pinky. Let me tell you, if you dare to meet that Omega again, I assure you, sending him abroad will be the least of your worries. I'll make it so that he cannot focus on his studies, and you will find yourself living on the streets. Uncle Pei, it's Shang He. There was a brief pause from the other end before the tone softened slightly. Shang He, where's that rascal Pei Che? Have him take the phone. Is he trying to shirk his responsibilities again? Not at all. I took his phone away. Uncle Pei, after much contemplation, I feel that I can no longer continue to guide Pei Che. Why on earth not? Has that brat done something outrageous again? I swear, I will beat him senseless this time. That's not it. It's because Pei Che has already become quite remarkable, and I believe he no longer requires guidance. Remarkable? The voice on the other end scoffed, clearly unconvinced. If he were so remarkable, why does he defy both me and his mother, insisting on associating with that sort of sycophant? He never listens, and yet you call him remarkable. I mean it. You have raised Pei Che to be a young man full of emotion, loyalty, and sincerity. That, in itself, is commendable. The only thing left for me to teach him is how to rise after falling and how to take responsibility for his choices. What we can do is provide him with the courage to learn from his mistakes. What do you think? The line fell silent for a moment, and eventually, a sigh resonated from the other end. That boy has never been easy to manage. Only someone with your temperament, Shang He, could find something good to say about him. Fine, I suppose I'll leave him in your capable hands. Rest assured I will take care of him. After hanging up, I returned to Pei Che's room, where he remained turned away on the bed. The room was cloaked in darkness. Was it truly a safe haven or merely a cage for a trapped beast? I settled myself beside him on the bed and gently stroked his hair. You've had a hard day, Haven to you? Are you feeling tired? Pei Che remained silent, burying his face deeper into the pillow. I tucked him in gently and spoke softly. I've kept your meal warm for you. If you feel hungry, you can eat at any time. With that, I rose and left the room, closing the door behind me. For I knew that if I lingered any longer, Pei Che would surely grow irate at the sound of his own increasingly audible sobs. Regardless of age, every child has the right to cry, at least in my presence. That was the case. Lost in a myriad of thoughts, I remained in the living room until late, unable to sleep. When Pei Che finally descended, I was still tapping away at the keyboard. Glancing up, I realized it was already 2 in the morning. I shut down my computer, stood, and made my way to the kitchen, quickly reheating the dishes. As I emerged, I found Pei Che dutifully seated at the dining table. I arranged the food before him, but he did not immediately pick up his chopsticks. Are you not going to scold me for eating at such a late hour, causing trouble for no reason? Couldn't help but chuckle. Why would I scold you? Is this really such a grave matter? In my household, it seems one only gets reprimanded for disliking the healthful meals prepared by the auntie, being called a fool. Everything else is inconsequential. But there is indeed one thing for which I would scold you. What is it? Pei Che raised his head to look at me. If you cannot finish this bowl of rice, I will certainly berate you as an ungrateful little rascal. I fixed my gaze upon his eyes with earnestness. In the next moment, we both erupted into laughter. Who do you think I am? I will finish it. I patted his head, feeling quite pleased. Is that so? Our little Pei Che is truly impressive. Pei Che almost buried his face into the bowl, yet I still caught sight of his flushed ears. He was genuinely adorable, whether while eating, eavesdropping on my phone call from behind the door, or cautiously descending the stairs to avoid making a sound. After we finished our meal, I noticed the marks on Pei Che's face had yet to fade, so I pulled him onto the sofa to apply some ointment. As I did so, I unintentionally voiced my thoughts. Why would someone strike you so harshly? It must hurt. I was merely speaking to myself, yet to my surprise, Pei Che replied, Yes, it does hurt. My heart softened instantly, and my tone shifted to one more suited for comforting a child. It's all right, just apply the ointment and then blow on it. That should help. Finally, a smile returned to Pei Che's face, which had previously been scrunched up in distress. Honestly, I'm not a child anymore. While he spoke the truth, I could clearly see a tear slip from the corner of his eye. Gently, I brushed it away. People say that a person is most vulnerable not when stripped bare, but at the moment when they allow the first tear to fall in front of another. In that instant, he was completely open, and I felt a stirring in my heart. Though I claimed I would guide Pei Che, in reality, I was often swamped with responsibilities. Beyond my formal job, there were countless social events and banquets to attend. Occasionally, standing amidst a vast banquet hall, surrounded by an overwhelming number of executives and celebrities, I would feel utterly isolated, as if trapped within a larger cage. On one such day, I brought Pei Che to a dinner party to help expand his social circle. As soon as we arrived, we were surrounded by people from all sides. I introduced Pei Che one by one, engaging in small talk while maintaining a polite smile. As the evening wore on, I felt my face begin to stiffen from the effort of smiling. Suddenly, Pei Che raised his voice. Wait a moment. I need to go to the restroom. Those around us were taken aback, stumbling to clear a path for him. Then Pei Che took my hand. You come with me. I was momentarily taken aback as he pulled me through the crowd. Halfway there, I realized something was amiss. Aren't you supposed to be going to the restroom? This isn't the way. Pei Che turned to me, placing a finger to his lips in a shushing gesture. Don't make a sound. I'm taking you to escape. Huh? Before I could comprehend, he tugged my hand and began to run, leading me all the way to the car. Only after we had distanced ourselves from the banquet hall did he ask, Where do you want to go? I shook my head, still in a daze. Then I shall decide, I said. He pressed the accelerator and we sped away. It wasn't until we reached the seaside that I remembered to ask, Why did you bring me out here? Pei Che turned around, the wind tousling his hair. Because you seemed unhappy. Is that so? Indeed. Your bitter smile could sour even the sweetest of teeth. But I haven't introduced you to anyone yet, I complained, feeling somewhat troubled.
Pei che ciaccol d'insensitiveli.
I don't care to meet anyone. I just want to see you happy. You're truly mad, I muttered under my breath. Yet in reality, my face had relaxed, enjoying the sea breeze. Pei found a spot to sit and patted the space beside him. Come, sit here. We have 2 hours until sunrise. I joined him on the sand, listening to the ocean's whispers. After the banquet and the drive, it was already 3 in the morning. I wasn't as youthful as Pei, and I felt utterly exhausted. Unconsciously, my head leaned against his shoulder. After a brief nap, Pei gently roused me. Lu Shanghe, the sun is rising. My posture remained unchanged. I merely opened my eyes. No matter how many times I witnessed it, the sunrise always struck me with a breathtaking awe as if it were the first time. Lu Shanghe, happy birthday. I was taken aback and turned to see Pei smiling. What's the matter? Have you forgotten your own birthday? Indeed, I had not celebrated for several years. With each passing year, what was the point in aging? Another fulfilling year added to your life. Congratulations. Reflecting on it, I realized it was indeed a fulfilling year. Why did it suddenly feel as though life was not fading but rather becoming more enriched? I leaned my head back on Pei shoulder, smiling. Well then, I suppose I should congratulate myself as well. Hey, Teacher Lu, shouldn't you be thanking me instead? What's this nonsense about congratulating yourself? Cut it out, Pei. Don't be so intent on your objectives. Humph. Humph. I mimicked him, producing a similar sound. Soon enough, we both erupted into laughter like fools. Turning 30 seemed rather splendid. The long-lost feeling of rebellion, alongside Pei, felt equally delightful. My thoughts drifted back to Pei's outrageous behavior earlier. Yesterday, for reasons unknown, he impulsively showed up at my workplace to pick me up. Coincidentally, an old friend, whom I hadn't seen since his marriage, also came by to see me. Naturally, a warm greeting between long-lost friends was expected. Yet, Pei insisted on being upset, glaring at my friend with an intensity that could melt steel. Eventually, I had to physically drag him back to the car, apologizing to my friend as we left. I had promised my younger brother to go out for dinner today. Let us reschedule. Upon returning home, Pei began to cling to me, wanting to embrace me, compelling me to remind him, Pei, don't forget what you initially said. Instead, he grew more fervent, lifting me up with an unexpected strength, his tone shifting. What did I say? That I most enjoy overstepping boundaries? If not for a call from his friend that interrupted him, I genuinely feared he would follow through on that declaration. Overstepping boundaries? That little madman. I rubbed the spot on my waist where he had grasped me, bemused by his youthful exuberance. When Pei returned, he was accompanied by Qi Beiyuan, who he was firmly holding by the head as he approached me. Pei apologized quickly. I was bewildered and instinctively tried to stop Pei's roughness. What's going on?
Pei?
Let him go first. Pei spat at Qi Beiyuan, appearing rather agitated. This brat is the one who sent you those absurd messages. I should consider myself lucky I didn't beat him up. The subdued individual raised his head, baring his teeth in discontent. I merely spoke a few truths. What's the big deal? Pei immediately raised his foot to kick him, but I intervened. Qi Beiyuan cleverly jumped back, looking at me with reluctance. I'm sorry, Mr. Lu. I couldn't help but laugh, shaking my head at the antics of these two young men. It's fine. It was just a few messages.
Pei, however,
was not pleased, shouting at me. What do you mean just a few messages? He was trying to sow discord between us. I chose to avoid the ambiguous topic and instead guided Pei to sit on the sofa, placing my hand on his cheek. Have you had a bit too much to drink? Your face is burning. Sit tight. I'll make you some hangover soup. Otherwise, you'll feel dreadful tomorrow. Pei nuzzled against my hand, a look of contentment on his face. Okay, thank you, Teacher Lu. Turning around, I noticed Qi Beiyuan still standing there, looking forlorn and somewhat pitiful. I pulled him over. You should sit for a while too. Drink some hangover soup before heading back. He appeared surprised but obediently sat down beside Pei. When I emerged carrying the hangover soup, I overheard Pei reprimanding Qi Beiyuan. Let me tell you, my wife is kind enough not to hold grudges against you, but if you act shamelessly again, I'll really turn against you, understand? I set the bowl down and lightly tapped Pei on the head. Enough with the wife talk. It sounds too serious. Pei raised his chin defiantly. It will eventually become a reality. Do you believe it? Not wishing to reason with a drunken fool, I fell silent, gesturing for them to drink the soup. After they finished, I stood to see Chi Beiyuan out. You have a driver, right? Be careful on the way. Standing at the gate, I wrapped my shawl around him as he prepared to leave. The person who was about to get in the car halted, hesitated for a moment, and then returned to face me.
I'm truly sorry.
This time, I mean it. I was taken aback for a moment, then smiled and patted his head. It's all right. Acknowledging your mistakes is what matters. After successfully seeing Chi Beiyuan off, I stepped back inside. Just as I entered, still with my shoes on, Pei Che pinned me against the door. You just touched him. Why? I merely patted his head. What's wrong with that? What's wrong? Why does he get to have you touch his head? I'm your student. I'm the only one who should be allowed to have that privilege. And what about that old man from earlier? What gives him the right to hug you? He was visibly agitated, and I had to press my hand against his chest to prevent myself from suffocating due to our close proximity.
Peike.
Touching heads and hugging are not exclusive to students, you know? Realizing my resistance, Pei Che stepped back slightly, his previously irrational gaze gradually cooling. Are you implying that your kindness to me can also extend to others? Of course. Haven't I taught you? Don't confuse others' goodwill for affection. Otherwise, the only one who ends up hurt will be you. He frowned, as if struggling to grasp my words. When people are confused, they often become inexplicably anxious. Pei Che was in that state now, tugging at his hair and pinching his palm. I stood there, nearly feeling pity for him. Youth can be adorably helpless in such matters. After a while, Pei Che cupped my face again. Could you just pretend I didn't say anything tonight? Can we just return to how we were before? I looked at him fondly and replied, if you can convince yourself of that, then certainly. Pei Che's complexion turned ashen, and he instinctively covered his ears. I can deceive myself, he stammered. I gently took his hand and spoke softly. You are truly intoxicated. You should rest, all right? He obediently followed me, lying down as I tucked him in, yet he muttered under his breath, you are so cruel. I smiled faintly, choosing to remain silent. Sleep now. Good night. Ignoring him was the best retreat I could devise. The following morning, when Pei Che rose and glanced at me, a hint of awkwardness shadowed his demeanor. It seemed he had not been able to fool himself regarding last night's events. I feigned ignorance and urged him to sit. Let us have a meal together. Is there anywhere else that feels uncomfortable? He sat down in silence, his thoughts heavy. I personally served him a bowl of porridge. Drink some. It will make you feel better. He stared at the porridge for a moment before brushing it aside, as if having made a resolute decision. If you're not this kind to anyone else, then please refrain from doing such things. Was he throwing a tantrum? I returned the porridge to myself, feigning disappointment. Very well then. It seems this last bowl of porridge shall be consumed by me alone. He looked longingly at the porridge being taken away, his brow furrowing in a mixture of grievance and false bravado. I barely suppressed a laugh, rising to return the porridge to him, ruffling his hair in the process. All right, stop sulking. Drink your porridge. If you dislike me having casual physical contact with others, I shall endeavor to amend my ways. The previously aggrieved boy's mood instantly brightened, his lips curving upward despite his effort to suppress a smile. Really? Indeed, of course. We shall be spending considerable time together. Hence mutual understanding and tolerance are essential. With a loud clatter, Pei Che slammed down his spoon. Is that the only reason you claim you'll change? Yes. What of it? Pei Che clenched his fist and stood up. Lu Shanghe, are you toying with me? I looked at him, feigning confusion, my gaze innocent. You are mocking me. Just because I am young, you deliberately toy with my emotions, making me feel like a fool. You are fully aware of my feelings. Aware of what? Pei Che suddenly fell silent, glaring at me with a mix of resentment and fury. I attempted to soothe him, but he stormed out, leaving me with a headache for the first time. This was troublesome. I had truly riled the young pup. Determined to procure a small dessert from the shop below the company to appease Pei Che, I unexpectedly clocked out on time. Yet, upon reaching the company entrance, I could not help but sigh in resignation. It seemed there would be no opportunity to placate Pei Che today, for an old acquaintance, whom I had just met yesterday, stood waiting at the door. Xiaohe, why are you off work so early today? I was just about to message you. I smiled as I approached my friend. What a coincidence. Indeed, it appears we share a certain telepathic bond. Let us get in the car. Sitting together in a restaurant booth, He expertly placed our order, as familiar with my favorite dishes as ever. Out of the blue, I inquired, "Does this place serve any delightful desserts?" He looked at me in surprise. "Sometimes they do. But Xiao, don't you dislike sweets? The child at home loves them." His expression immediately turned cold. "Oh, is that so? Then let us add a dessert." The waiter inquired, "Which one would you like, sir?" "Whichever." Perhaps realizing his demeanor was too frosty, he feigned concern as he gazed at me. Doesn't he have any dietary restrictions or particular favorites, does he? I'll have them prepare something at random." I nodded in agreement, smiling, and he finally exhaled in relief, his expression brightening. "Is the child you mentioned referring to the one from yesterday?" I nodded, instinctively checking my phone for any messages from Pei-Che. It seemed he was genuinely upset, having not messaged me all day. My friend continued, "Xiao, I once genuinely believed you would never grow close to anyone else again." "Why did you think that?" I replied casually, though my mind was occupied with whether I should message Pei-Che first. "Because I pursued you for so long, yet you never acquiesced. I could not get close to you, yet suddenly someone else did. It made me a bit uncomfortable." I finally looked up at him, but his eyes were inscrutable, a mix of sincerity and jest. I sighed inwardly. Indeed, I preferred conversing with someone like Pei-Che, who was easier to read, rather than trying to decipher the thoughts of a seasoned player. I was young then, placing great importance on love. Now that I am older, my perspective on such matters has inevitably changed. Then why not get closer to me again? I laughed softly, raising my teacup to take a sip, hiding my derision. "Aren't you already married? It wouldn't be appropriate. I've already divorced." She was too young. I couldn't endure it. "Being with you is much better, less worry, and it brings benefits." I looked at him, speechless. How far the one who once sought only the sweetness of love had strayed to utter such words. I was reluctant to engage with Pingji any further, my irritation rising, and I decided to deflect. Just then, my phone chimed, offering a timely reprieve. "Where are you?" The contact, Pei-Che. Seeing that name, I instinctively let out a sigh of relief. "I'm out to eat." "What's up? Who are you dining with?" That was a challenging question. I pondered for a moment. Pingji seized the opportunity, inquiring, "Who is it?" "Xiao, just the child at home." "Ah," Pingji scoffed, shedding his polite facade. I pretended not to hear and focused on replying to Pei-Che. "With a friend. The one from yesterday." His statement was assertive, not interrogative. Any attempt to evade would be disingenuous, so I admitted, "Yes, it is him." "Would you like to join us?" "I ordered your favorite dessert, intending to bring it back for you." After a moment of silence, he replied, "All right, I'm right next door. I'm coming over now." He was indeed nearby. Thankfully, I hadn't tried to mislead him. Otherwise, he might have stormed in. "Pingji, the child from my home will be coming over shortly. You're all right with that, right?" "Xiao, today Before Pingji could refuse, the door burst open with a loud bang. Such a forceful entry could only be attributed to Pei-Che. I smiled apologetically at Pingji. "I'm sorry, Pingji. He's young and impulsive. Please bear with him." Pingji forced a smile, while Pei-Che, who had been boisterous moments ago, quietly sat beside me. At that table, I seemed to be the only one at ease. After a nearly silent meal, I excused myself to the restroom to wash my hands. Upon returning, I overheard Pingji's voice, tinged with anger, through the slightly ajar door. "What makes you think you can compete with me?" I halted, frowning. If I didn't wish to sever ties with Pingji completely, now was not the time to enter. I can compete because I am young, because I love him, and because I am willing to do anything for him. The response from Pei-Che reached me, and I couldn't help but rub my forehead in exasperation. While youthful confidence is commendable, their superficial experience and composure render their weaknesses glaringly evident. Indeed, Pingji let out a derisive snort, unmistakably displaying his disdain for the other party. Youth will inevitably age, and love will eventually fade. As for your claim of being able to do anything for him, do you truly believe he needs that?
Pei-Che.
Xiang, he is 7 years your senior and has had countless individuals who have fervently devoted themselves to him long before you arrived. Some have even cast aside everything to remain by his side for a mere word from him, and he never acquiesced. Do you genuinely think you possess the qualification and ability to engage Xiang, he in another romantic escapade? Do not delude yourself, young man. You will never be his first, nor can you be his only. Each word from Pingji was a pearl of wisdom, and indeed, they echoed the very sentiments I wished to convey to Pei-Che. The room fell silent, and I couldn't help but feel a twinge of annoyance at He Pingji's bluntness. Pei-che, being so young, likely felt wounded by such harsh words, especially since his parents seldom paid him any mind. Sighing, I prepared to push the door open. Whether or not we could become friends was secondary. I had painstakingly nurtured Pei-che to a more normal state, and I couldn't let all my efforts go to waste. Just as my hand rested on the doorknob, Pei-che's voice rang out. Yes, I may never be his first, but I will surely be his last and only one. If you don't believe me, let's wait and see. The simplicity of his words was laced with an inexplicable fervor. Now I found myself truly troubled. Was he serious? My hand slowly retreated as hesitation gripped me. President Liu? At that moment of uncertainty, a cheerful voice emerged from behind me, startling me and nearly disrupting my composed demeanor. Qi Beiyuan peered around me with a mischievous grin. Apologies if I startled you. I chuckled softly, shaking my head, yet his gaze subtly roamed over me. Are you here for a meal as well, President Liu? Yes. Oh, me too, I came with Pei-che. This rascal dragged us all here to welcome his long-awaited white moonlight returning from abroad, only to vanish himself. His pointed explanation made it clear he had not relinquished his desire to separate me from Pei-che. What is it with these young people, each more cunning than the last? I wearily massaged my temples, only to be taken aback when he stepped closer. President Liu, Pei-che's heart belongs to another. He is hardly a wise choice. But I am different, I am also young, yet without any scandals, and I am very obedient. I stared at him in astonishment, realizing the intentions behind his words. Noticing my silence, Qi Beiyuan boldly grasped my sleeve. Isn't it permissible to choose me, brother? A wave of desperation washed over me. Everything was spiraling out of control. Inside, two individuals were at odds, while outside, this one harbored ulterior motives. Is it the trend this year for men nearing middle age like myself to be pursued? How utterly absurd. Qi Beiyuan, what are you doing? The melodious voice of Pei-che resonated as he appeared at the door of the private room. Qi Beiyuan did not release his grip. Rather, he tightened it.
Pei-che.
I recall you mentioning that you do not like President Liu. Since you are unwilling, allow me to take your place. I have no white moonlight to contend with, nor will I retreat from a marriage or elope, and I don't speak recklessly to Brother Liu. I am far more suited to stand by his side. Pei-che raised an eyebrow, clearly suppressing a torrent of anger. His fists clenched tightly as he strode towards me. Just as his fist was about to connect with Qi Beiyuan's face, I finally intervened, reaching out to halt him. Pei-che, stop this. Let us go home. Pei-che remained fixated on Qi Beiyuan, who defiantly met his gaze. Meanwhile, He Pingji leaned against the doorway, observing the unfolding drama with a smirk.
Pei-che.
I shall not repeat myself. It is time to go home. Finally, Pei-che relented, wrapping his arm around my waist as we made our exit. Despite an inexplicable guilt welling up within me, I permitted his closeness. Perhaps I should never have approached him with frivolous intentions. Who could have foreseen that at 30, I would find myself in such a predicament? In the car, Pei-che stubbornly gazed out the window, refusing to meet my eyes. I observed our hands, mere inches apart, and after much hesitation, I covered his with mine. Are you still upset? The moment my hand touched his, I felt him stiffen momentarily. In an instant, he turned and buried his face into the crook of my neck. What is there for me to be angry about? Lu Shanghe. Today I realized that I am not even worthy of being angry with you. I gently stroked his hair in a gesture of comfort. Yet I found myself at a loss for words, lost in the ambiguity of our relationship. Pei-che, noticing my silence, lifted his gaze to scrutinize me. As he continued to stare, he drew nearer. If I cannot possess you, then I shall belong to you. I will be your dog, willingly placing the leash in your hands, revolving around you for eternity. Shall it be well? Unprepared for this, he leaned in and kissed me. In return, I kissed him back, my emotions a tumultuous mix of uncertainty and indulgence. Fortunately, I had raised the partition upon entering the vehicle. In this confined atmosphere, only the two of us were privy to the weight of our feelings. He wiped away the remnants of our kiss, and in the next moment, tears cascaded down his cheeks. I like you so much, but why? He wept, questioning either himself or me. I understood the reason. He resembled an unsent love letter discarded in a trash bin. The sender had created him but neglected to treat him with care. Yet, if someone were willing to pick him up, patiently smoothing out his creased pages and reading the blurred words of affection, they would uncover the love inherent within him, longing for a place to belong. But I responded, because you have yet to encounter someone better. Once you do, you will no longer feel this way. Alright, I admit it. Perhaps, in a moment I overlooked, or on my birthday, I truly felt a flutter in my heart for Pei-Che. Yet, I know that it is quite easy to develop feelings for someone in one's 20s. He is still young, with numerous experiences yet to explore, and countless heartfelt offerings he can freely expend. Therefore, I cannot risk my future on the whims of love with Pei-Che. I am afraid I admit it. Yet Pei-Che wiped away his tears and gazed at me, articulating each word. You are the best. I can guarantee it. I looked at him, left speechless. Having witnessed the self-serving nature of peers, I found myself confronted with this sincere and unreserved love. No matter how much I tried to deceive myself, my heart could not conceal its truth from my mind. Adults of any age have the right to experience infatuation. At least that is how it is for me. To my astonishment, my well-meaning counsel not only failed to deter Pei-Che but ignited within him an insatiable competitive spirit. After that day, every glance we exchanged was charged with his eager determination. Furthermore, from that moment on, he clung to me with an intensity that was almost unbearable. Not even Qi Beiyuan, nor He Pingji, could approach me under Pei-Che's watchful gaze. To put it bluntly, he had become akin to a fiercely protective and increasingly robust guard dog, obsessively territorial. As he persistently followed me, the outcome was that at a certain banquet, a dear friend gazed at Pei-Che with a smile and remarked to me, "You can tell that this child is raised by you." I too looked at Pei-Che, who was not far off and had already begun to exhibit a degree of composure, smiling with a hint of unconscious pride. Indeed, he bears some resemblance outwardly. But you see, at his core he remains quite childlike. Upon hearing this, my friend's smile widened, and he regarded me with a teasing expression. "Shang-He, your old house is about to catch fire." I could only shake my head helplessly, sipping my drink in silence. "What are you discussing?" Pei-Che approached me and deftly took the drink from my hand. "Why are you drinking again? Why shouldn't I?" "Shang-He, have you succumbed to a strict marital regime?" My friend seized the opportunity to jest at my expense. Pei-Che's expression turned serious as he earnestly replied, "His stomach has been unwell lately, so he shouldn't drink." "Oh, I thought you two lovebirds were preparing for a baby, hence the abstinence from alcohol." My friend exaggerated his tone, poking fun at us. Pei-Che's face flushed, inadvertently revealing a touch of youthful innocence. It had been quite some time since I had witnessed this adorable side of him, and I couldn't help but join in my friend's teasing. "Preparing for a baby? I'm not a girl. Speaking of which, you might not know, but our little Pei was once adamant about only liking girls, with a white moonlight to boot." Halfway through my words, Pei-Che tugged at my sleeve, leaning in to halt my speech. I told you that was a fabrication, merely a rebellion against my parents." His childlike demeanor made me chuckle, but I suddenly heard my friend say, "Speaking of white moonlight, Shang-He, I've recently heard that your first love has come to visit us. The foreigner, who abandoned everything at home to be with you. Do you remember? You once cried to me, calling him your white moonlight." I did remember, but was it truly appropriate to mention this in front of Pei-Che? I dared not turn to see Pei-Che's expression, instead directing a reproachful glance at my friend, as if to say, "How could you?" My friend chuckled and made a gesture with his lips. "It's fine. A little jealousy can enhance marital affection. No need to thank me." While a touch of jealousy can indeed foster intimacy between couples, the crux of the matter was that since that fateful day of emotional turmoil, Pei-Che had been particularly sensitive about such matters. An outburst of jealousy would not bode well. On the way home, Pei-Che reverted to his previous demeanor, gazing out the window and ignoring me. This time, I cautiously tugged at his sleeve. "Are you upset again?" He swiftly pulled his sleeve away, refusing to respond. I patiently attempted to hold his hand once more. "Don't be angry. I have no ties to him anymore." "Then why is he here? Perhaps he simply came for a vacation?" Of all places, he chose to visit this site of past passionate history. Pei-Che yanked his hand away with renewed ferocity, his body language clearly conveying a single message: "Do not touch me." I feigned compliance with his words and continued, "Indeed, why did he specifically choose this place? Perhaps I should call him to ask?" I pretended to take out my phone to dial, but Pei-Che snatched it away. "You're lying. You promised you had lost contact with him." Finally, he was willing to confront me directly. I cupped his face gently and pressed my lips to the corner of his mouth. "I didn't lie. I was teasing you about the call. After all, you wouldn't look at me." He was no longer the Pei-Che who would become dizzy at the slightest kindness. Even though his brows had softened, he remained unwilling to yield. Lu Shanghe, you always toy with my affections. It's truly unfair. Is it unfair again? Should I then give this unfair person another kiss? Yes. Pei Che leaned in, but did not initiate the kiss. I complied with his unspoken desire and kissed his cheek. After that, he turned his other cheek toward me. This side too. I laughed and obliged. Suddenly, my friend's words echoed in my mind. The old house is about to catch fire. If the old house catching fire signifies the stirrings of the heart in the elder, then perhaps my old house has already been reduced to ashes. I sighed, lamenting that in the end, I too could not escape the mundanity of it all. Pei Che heard my sigh and unexpectedly returned the kiss. Why the sigh? Am I not allowed to stop being angry? You mustn't lose patience with me. I gently scratched his chin and replied in a soft tone. I have not lost patience with you. How could I? When you were so adorable. Pei Che embraced me, a man several years my senior clinging to me. Really? But I still feel very anxious. Because you can so effortlessly sway my emotions. Yet I struggle to hear you utter the words, I like you. You can easily see through my attempts to test your feelings, while I remain uncertain if you have ever harbored affections for me. Lu Shanghe, sometimes I wonder if you are just as kind to others when I am not around. A troubled little dog spun in circles, yearning for affirmation. No, I wouldn't be impatient, nor would I treat anyone else the way I treat you. Why not? Because my kindness towards you has already become the exclusive domain of a lover. Pei Che's eyes brightened instantly. What? Did you just say I am your what? Could you repeat that? He resembled a puppy eagerly asking its owner to recount the tale of why he was chosen among many. I said, I would only treat my lover this well. Before I could finish, Pei Che could no longer contain himself and kissed me. This is what you said. You cannot take it back, Lu Shanghe. You are stuck with me now. Why would I want to escape? After all, I have knowingly indulged in this for so long, haven't I?
Epilogue. Pei Che.
I have never been a good person, and I am aware of it. I speak harshly and behave erratically. I have grown accustomed to centering everything around myself. My parents, I cannot fathom how often they have been troubled by my temper. When they wanted me to meet some young lady, I declared that I preferred someone from an ordinary family. When they attempted to send me away to study, I berated the person as an old fool. Yet, I have always used my youth as an excuse, unwilling to amend my ways. Stubborn, reckless, immature, impulsive. I lived in a world where everyone could only read my moods. Until Lu Shanghe appeared. The first time we met, he caught me openly disdainful of him. But to be honest, I felt no guilt at that moment. I merely thought, how could this man appear so feeble, as if a harsh word would bring him down? Thus, I unconsciously refrained from speaking those words again, and when my parents mentioned forming friendships, I remained silent. I could not bear the thought of hurting his feelings. However, I later found myself inevitably immersed in the gentle sea that is Lu Shanghe. For the first time, I learned how to spell the word fear. He cares for me, cherishes me, indulges me, pampers me, and even comforts me. Yet, I do not know if he has ever treated anyone else with such kindness, whether in the past or present. Moreover, I wonder what kind of relationship cultivated such a wonderful character in him. I do not know how to become his one and only. Yipingji was right. Everything I could do for Lu Shanghe had already been done by someone else 7 years ago. Yet, I remain unwilling to relinquish my hopes. He has professed his care for me. He has spoken of me as his beloved. Though I am dizzy and fraught with sensitivity and unease, I refuse to let go, even if it means becoming his faithful dog. The end of the tale. Thank you for listening, and until we meet again in the next story.